Well, we are on our way back to Ohio. 6 hours and 35 minutes on maps. So if we get on the highway and get rolling, probably 6 and a bit to get back. I was just talking. I'm going to post a video too because it's nice to see. We started the video talking to some of the baseball parents, saying goodbye and whatnot from Cooperstown, and it's cool. I'd mentioned in another video. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience for the kids, but quite frankly, it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience for us. If you've never been there with younger children, grandchildren, or yourself, then you don't know what it's like, and I've never been there. So it's really cool. Super small town mentality, and well, just a small town, but a really, really cool experience. And I know the kids loved it. I know that my only regret, and I know there's lots of parents. I talked to a guy last year, and he said he missed his son's home run or something, and because he was at the Meadowlands, and it always bothered him. It doesn't bother me that I missed Ollie's home run on Monday. And maybe a little bit. I think it does. But at the same time, there'll be other home runs, and I'm just so happy that he had a good time, right? And there's times in your life, I was torn on Monday's races. I think the only reason it really bothers me is because the Philly ended up making a break anyway. And the whole reason that I took that Monday off of the Cooperstown tournament, flew to Kentucky. Oh, you're right. Thank you. Good co-pilot, Amy.
Well, I remember going through Mohawk. It says it's this way.
Well, you are right. It said that. Turn right in 11 miles. That 28, that takes us right past the Starbucks down in the other place. This is the highway.
On the highway.
Oh,
every 20 miles, there's some Apple
other thing,
rest stop.
That's what they put in Buffalo. That Apple thing you're talking about. That's
they're literally you could get a Starbucks every 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's a little excessive. But, the whole point for Monday, and it didn't matter. The travel was ridiculously, monotonously long. I flew from Albany to Orlando to Nashville. Drove down there with Steve and Rob, which was tense enough. The owners, big owners of the horse. Then she makes a break. I have to go all the way back with them. Then I get on the plane and I fly from Nashville to Atlanta to Albany. I get home at a couple of minutes before midnight. I get back to the hotel at 12:30. I'm beat up because the Philly made a break. I'm tired. I'm angry. I missed Ollie's home run. There's a million pictures though. That's pretty cool. But that's life. I'm always trying to walk the line of what I need to do, what I have to do, what I should do, what I can do, what I can't do, and that's just life. So we'll go through. I'd said it in another video. It was tough the last 2 days. I didn't do a video because I was angry. I was personally angry. I thought the horses should be racing better the last 7 or 10 days. And, I talked to Jason and Tim about that. And over the next week, I want everybody drilled down tight. I want to make sure that we, get out of this tailspin. Because it's not that the horses are racing terrible. Amy and I just talked about this. We had 3 fillies in Philadelphia that scoped a little bit sick. Memento Mori, somebody asked me what happened yesterday. The difference between those 3 lengths of maybe winning and being an okay fourth, I believe, to me, from my naked eye, was maybe when Dave grabbed him in the first turn. He's not used to being left hard and let a horse go, and he's got that low head. I think he might have shut his air just for a second. I could be wrong, but listen, Dave Palone's won 26 million races, and I'm not a better driver than Dave Palone, and for him to go out there and look worse than he is the last 3 starts, obviously something took place. It wasn't the time. The Killer Word horse was vulnerable in the front end. You could see that. I thought getting into the last turn that Maury was probably a winner, and then all but in a couple of seconds realized that it was going to be a fight to finish 3rd, and he lost that fight and finished 4th. But that's racing, right? That's racing. And, I go into the night wondering, Jesus, is this just going to spiral out of control? Chicago Hall raced good, looked like a winner. And I can't say anything because the way Jody drove him is exactly how I think he races his best. Bull rushed the leader in the far turn. He trots that far turn real good, clear to the lead and finish off the mile. And it looked like he was going to get the job done until he didn't, right at the last second. So raced good. Aunt Lily scoped with a little bit more mucus and some blood in there also. So we're going to have to do a much better job drying her up, preparing her for a race. These are things that they evolve during the stake season, right? We know how Aunt Lily races. She raced good last week. We were happy with her scope. We were happy with the way she come into the race. We thought that we would be able to extend from that. And instead she regressed a little bit, but the regression was obvious. And it was easy to find out what happened. There's blood, mucus in her throat. We need to dry her up. We need to prepare her a little bit better for the race going into her next races. And that's a non-starter. That has to happen. And Gorgeous Package raced good also. Now, we didn't scope Gorgeous Package. Didn't think we had to. Here's a filly that's paced 51, paced 52, and was a beaten 52 yesterday, but looked pretty good. No complaints there. The favorite on the board beat her. She was the second favorite and finished second. So I don't think too many people were surprised by her performance. And then like Gaslight Hall last night, I told everybody Gaslight Hall was coming over here, and he is. And for the simple reason, nothing more than easier racing here. You know, I asked Dominic, I said, hey, great job. I thought the horse was good. Only picked for second at the wire, 56, whatever. I thought he probably could have won, but coming in off some, you know, quite frankly, flat miles since we put him on Lasix. You know, how would he race? Changed his bridle, you know, changed the way we prepared him for the race also this week. I thought he was better, but the question was simple to Dom. Where's he race next? He said, well, the grassroots starters, that could be any number of killers in that class. Or non-winners of 3 that doesn't fill all the time at Georgian, which means you have to go at Mohawk. They just went in 53 last week or something. No, I'm going to bring him here for the next 2 weeks for sure, if not 3. Somebody messaged me and said, well, Anthony, I don't really know what the point of bringing him anywhere for 2 weeks would be. Well, let me see. He's going to race for $9,000 to $11,000 for 2 weeks, and he's going to be 6 to 5 on the board. So when you factor in money potentially made and his confidence being boosted before his next grassroots event, I honestly, quite frankly, I don't understand why you wouldn't. I don't even know why there's even a discussion about it. There's certainly none in my mind. So I thought Gaslight Hall raced well last night. Do I think he could have raced better? Yeah, he could have been a winner. Could have been a closing second. Did he maybe dog it down by the wire? Yeah, but I think that goes down to confidence too, right? Looking to finish the mile and looking to finish the mile strong are two very different things. And I think a lot of it boils down, certainly on endurance. The horse is getting his work in properly now. There's no mucus, there's no blood. So now it's just sharp. You know, you got to have him sharp, you got to have him confident. We went through this with, what was that horse's name? The one knowing something. I always forget his name when I'm trying to think of his name, I can't remember his name. The horse that we brought over that Harry had that was racing poor, and then he won like 5 in a row and run off in the final 53.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing but a dreamer, yes. Same type of thing. I go back to him because this is the exact same conversation we had about Nothing But a Dreamer. He's flat. He's not finishing up his miles. He's not sharp. We took him to the Meadows, you know, sharpened him up. He won a couple of races. I think he was 2 wins in a second. And then he went back to Ontario and just obliterated everybody. Now, that is not a guarantee. But that's exactly what the plan is when it comes to Gaslight Hall. So we may not have had a great week, but I can assure you we have a plan to get out of the next bad week. I can tell you that. You know, you look at throughout the week, we had the break with Jailbird Jog, right? Okay, it happens. Nothing I can do about it now. It's done. But a very, very good horse. Degas raced as good as she can. You know, when we roll into Kentucky next week, it will be 80,000 class for Jailbird Jog, the one in the second, probably Zena Kemp, and then Degas down in the one in the third, and that makes the most sense in the world. We have some other horses going down there. I was going to just ship Grand Slam Deal right out of there immediately, and then one of our clients from Europe, Robert, had said to me, Anthony, I don't know if you remember, but she didn't race that good in Oak Grove last year and then did race okay in Kentucky. Is it worth maybe giving her a start at the Red Mile? You know what? You're right. It's not like there's a ticker tape parade waiting for her in Pennsylvania. It's not like there's not going to be any sighs from the crowd when they see her name in the draw sheet. She's going to be competitive, but she's not going to be a layover. You know what, Robert? Maybe you're right. So maybe we'll race her once in Lexington then. All right. That's a fair request. I can't disagree with that. Diosadella Donzas, and I said, oh my God, this filly, ever since we raced her in the Next Generation, she hasn't been good. Well, you're right. But you haven't asked yourself why. You know, the idea that somehow she's just not good out of the blue. She just was. We thought she was good. She was good. And then, oh, she's not good anymore. It doesn't work that way. There's something going on with her, and it didn't take long to figure out why. She had some blood in her throat, right? Which isn't that shocking. I think every dancing Yankee we've had on Lasix. You know, we did our best to go without Lasix for the 2-year-old season of I'm Fancy Like, and I think she ended up on Lasix her last couple of starts. Same type of thing, few streaks of blood here and there. Maybe her next start, you know, we had her in the salt room, we dried her up really good. She had a soft week, no blood, but maybe a tiny bit flat, and was much better on Lasix, quite frankly. So Diosa de la Danza, it's not the front end. It's not that she doesn't like Northfield, or you can't drive her like that. Tyler Angus actually drove her perfect the other day. She just come up flat. And the answer to why, well, that wasn't hard to find at all. So there's one problem fixed right off the bat. I'm looking at the problems of this week, and there's not a whole lot of them still on the chalkboard, right? We know exactly what is going on. And that is, you know, we can talk about bad luck, we can talk about bad racing, but that is how you turn things around, right? Look at everything case by case. What happened with this horse? What happened with this horse? What happened with this horse? And when you can start crossing off the issues, you know, put in the hard work, put them in where they belong, you know, race them appropriately, and you're going to see things come around, turn around very, very quickly. Gymboree, first and second or last two, should she have won the other day? Yeah, she should have won, but she raced pretty good. I wasn't disappointed, I suppose, overall. Raced the 3 fillies in Philadelphia, all 3 of them scope sick. 2 out of 5, 3 out of 5, 2 out of 5 for mucus. You know, somebody said, well, Cherry's girl, maybe she's not a stake filly. You might be right. Do I think she's ready for 55? No. But I know when you draw the 7 hole and you take her back, and I said to Tim, I talked to Tim Tetrick that morning, I said, well, she's not going to hit the gate speed you need to get out of there. She's not as tactically sound as we'd like her to be. You know, you draw 3-4 and you blast her out of there and get away 2, 3, 4. Well, she's going to race good. But coming first over from 7th down the backstretch, and then finding out you scope her later and she's 2 or 3 out of 5 for mucus, well, she's not going to come to play. Don't ask again. Dexter's he is the best driver in the world right now. I don't think there's a way you can refute that. It's shocking how you can have a group of super talented people in the driver's colony, like the top of the food chain, but you have that one that's just a little bit better. I guess it's the same in every sport, in every walk of life, but well, it almost doesn't. And you're right, it almost doesn't though, right? Because I would say that James and Scotty are probably near the best drivers in the world also, right? And then you get Dexter jump up and time us on my side, seemingly give him the same trip. But now they did come back to him a little bit. The fractions were a little bit different. But the horse just I don't know how to explain it. But he's driving Don't Ask In. Now, the thing about Dexter is real quiet hands, real quiet guy. This filly, you gotta have her on her toes, right? And I was very curious. Now, she did scope a little bit of mucus, but I was curious how she was going to get along. Didn't have that pop on the end of it. I think you got to know her, and she seems like the type of filly, if she thinks she can get ahead of you, she'll spend the rest of the mile trying to. That's the feeling I get from her. A little bit of there's always that chess match. And with me, there's no more chess match. So she knows it's time to go and it's time to do her work. I think she was a little bit cheating and a little tiny bit sick, and Pretty Eyes and Lies was sick. And what she trot, 59? She's 58, 59 trotter right now, I think. And by 58, she's never trotted 58, but I think she will. I think she can. Memento Mori, as I said before, Dave Palone, super talented driver. He's a better driver than me. But he did not race better yesterday. And if I was to look at the race and say, what do you think happened? Maybe when he grabbed him in that first turn to let that horse go 28 flat, he may have shut his air just because he has a low head. And that's not me taking a shot at Dave in any way, shape, or form. But I think that may have been what happened with the horse yesterday. Because there's no rhyme or reason why he just wasn't better, right? Aunt Lily, I told you already, a little bit of blood, a little bit of mucus last night. We need to do a better job drying her up, preparing her for next week. And the other horses all raced good. Chicago Hall beat Fair and Square by the 6-5 favorite, but raced well. Gorgeous Package, again, second favorite, finished second, 52-2. Gaslight Hall, he was 6-1 and just got beat at the wire for second, finished third. But I thought at the very least he was much better than he had been in the past. So, when I look back at the week, It was flat. It is a flat 10 days coming in now. We didn't have any shining points in that span. But when I look at the issues, resolve indeed, I'll fix that, no problem. She's just going to race against cheaper horses right here. Oh, by here, I mean Northfield. Degas, again, going to be in with her own next time at Lexington. Jailbird Jog is going to be, I have resigned as the driver of her, only because the break the other day, I'm not taking responsibility for it. I think when everything happened the way it did, that's the way it had to happen. Yes, sweetheart. Where are the snacks?
Buried.
They're buried, honey, but I'm going to tell you what, we're going to stop at Starbucks when we see one here in a little while. What town did you say this was?
Mexico.
This is Mexico. I see.
We should turn. I don't know.
No, it says 0.2 miles. Down here at the highway, I think, is where it turned. Right? It says 0.1 miles now. I'm going to say it's right there. Yeah, we'll go to the Starbucks thing. So, it's not that I'm saying, oh, it's my fault for Jailbird Jog. Yeah, I was tight to Scotty, but I had to be. That filly will make a break if you grab her in the turn. And she's been great, but I've been super protective with her. So with respect to Jailbird Jog, it's just a matter of giving yourself a little more space in case that very same situation, in case that very same situation evolves again. But there's no real need for me to drive her, right? She's behaved at the gate now. She's not hot. That break the other day was not an unforced error. They did jam up in front of her. She did fold herself up and make a break. That was not necessarily her fault. But there's just no real need for me to drive her right now. So we're not positive yet who will drive her. It'll likely be either, does it say left? Oh, good call, honey. It'll likely be either Scott Zeron or Tim Tetrick, I think. Probably leaning towards Tim only because Scotty will likely have another horse to drive, right? So when you have a horse like Jailbird Jog that's super talented, and your last name isn't Svanstead or Melander, you're trying to secure a top driver. And I know there's a lot of you out there saying, well, what about James? What about Mark? Any of those guys would do. But James is committed to Ontario. Mark's dealing with a number of things right now. His hip, his shoulder, his arm, still bothering him a little bit. He's trying to get back in the rotation and would be a perfect fit for the horse also. But when I look at the playing field, I guess, you look at a guy like Tim Tetrick also, who's world-class driver. It's not like he's old. I mean, what would he be, 40 maybe? I'm guessing. I have no idea. But when it comes to Timmy Tetrick, no drives in Kentucky. I spoke to him on the phone about it when I was talking to him about Cherry's Girl. 0 drives in Kentucky that he is glued to right now. Certainly nothing. Certainly nothing in the way of. Certainly nothing in the way of 2-year-old trotting fillies. So it's a good fit. I spoke to Scotty, and Scotty's always up front, and always is, and that's always a good thing. He's got a couple of fillies he drives that he likes. He doesn't really know how good our filly is, but he does have horses that he drives for the Melander account. Is this me west? Yeah. Ooh, I would have went that way. Where were you there? That was a pivotal part of our trip.
I don't know why you have maps on.
Why have what on?
That doesn't show you the actual.
And well, you can switch it to Waze, honey. I don't care. Go ahead. I don't like it either. It's annoying. So the screen is a bigger screen in this car, and it doesn't. If you use your maps, it doesn't show you where you are. Anyway, it's hard to explain. It's dumb. Just put Waze on then. I don't care. So,
why don't we figure out where we're going before
I know exactly where I'm going, sweetie. It's right there, 300 yards. We're on the 90 West now. This road is pretty much the road we're on, straight through to our house, almost. Let's go, truck. So, that's likely where we're at. Scotty had said he had one of Melander's that he drove in the New York Sire Stakes the other day that was dual eligible, a man up in Kentucky, and we would lose him at that point. So I spoke to all our clients with respect to that filly, or most of our clients with respect to that filly, and briefly, and it was pretty much that if Scotty couldn't drive her, James couldn't commit, we couldn't get any of the people we wanted, then Tim Tetrick would be a great fit. And to Tim, that is certainly not saying, well, you're a consolation driver. You're not. You certainly are a world-class driver, but at the same time, This is some of the stuff that keeps me up at night also, right? Some of the silly things that keep me up at night. So Jailbird Jog will likely be hooked up with one of those two gentlemen in the future. Again, when we look at the mistakes that were made on Monday, Degas was fine, just needs to be an easier Jailbird Jog. We're going to find a driver. She's going to be racing in the 80,000 division. Resolve Indeed is coming to Ohio, where it's going to be easier for her. Blue Ventura is going out to the field for a little bit, just maybe a little tired. He's been going all winter, all spring, now into the summer. Give the horse a couple of weeks off. And Diosa Della Donza showed a little bit of blood. Put her on Lasix and get her back in. That's exactly what we're going to do. Xena Kemp is going to move to the $30,000 division in Lexington starting on the 28th of July, I believe. Did I say the 28th or the 30th? Do you remember? Yes.
I don't remember.
Don't remember. I think it's the 28th. Grand Slam Deal is going to have at least one start in Lexington. If she races the way she's raced in Oak Grove, she's just simply going back to Pennsylvania. Delicious Stone DK, just one of the very shining points of the last 7 or 10 days. Rinse and repeat. Melisandre actually raced good, but again in the pouring rain finished 5th. It's a tough crew, right? The numbers are 3 crew. My biggest thing about Melisandre at this point is a lifetime mark. We want to get a good mark on this filly. There's no reason that she shouldn't be able to take a mark of 55 or 56 between now and Harrisburg. And a number of people have asked me, with respect to Aunt Lily, Grand Slam Dio, Melisandre, are we not even thinking about breeding them? The answer is no, we're not. We have a full band right now of what I would consider mares that we want. We have 11, which is probably a few too more than we need. Upset in that way, but it boils down to this: those 2 mares, the exit strategy was always to sell them as at the end of the 3-year-old season, right? They were expensive fillies. We have a lot of clients that own the shares in them, and there would be absolutely no way for us to breed those mares unless we bought them out. And finding a price for those 2 fillies in particular would be impossible. I can't do it, so it just makes very little sense to me. And Aunt Lily, nice filly, well-bred filly, but again, probably worth quite a bit more as a broodmare than the rest of the ownership would be willing to pay for her. So it's a complicated process that I just don't want to get on the road with them. We have a full ship right now, plus a couple that more than we probably need in respect to broodmares. So those 2 or 3 horses for sure will likely end up. What are we doing here? What's wrong? They don't need that block one. Holly, you can use a charger. There's more than enough chargers in this car.
Unplug it. Plug it.
What are you doing, babe?
Stop.
Oh. So that's the plan with Melisandre, Grand Slam Dio, and as I just said, Aunt Lily for sure also. Woodmere Bullet, just green, just needs to do more work and put in an honest effort. It looked like when, I believe it was Adam was driving the horse, he wheeled him out second over, just looked lost, right? Didn't really know what to do. So I think it just continue to race him, put him in, get him tight. And Gymboree, I thought, raced well. Just another one of the rare rinse and repeat situations over the last 2 weeks. And then I talked to you about yesterday. There's no real concerns. The 3 fillies, just treat them up. Make sure they're dried up real good in preparation for the next race. Memento Mori, I can't say with certainty that's what happened, but when I go over the race a couple of times and look at it, he looked good, he's trotting good, he looked sharp. The only point in the race that there was a question mark hung on it is when Dave grabbed him quick to let that horse down in front of him. He started him up to get Wilbur in the 2-hole. He didn't want to let him go, and then he grabbed him to let Jeremy go. That's just textbook driving 101, but maybe when he did that, when he grabbed him, he might have shut Memento Mori just for a step, which may have been the step he was missing on the end of the mile. That would be if you were to, put a gun to my head and say, I need to know right now what happened, that's what I would say had happened. But again, just a step back from where he was the week before. So there's an outlook of how the week went. I know I didn't give you guys very many videos this week. I was trying to focus on Ollie and trying to focus on everything going on with the stable and trying to get everything squared away and ready for next week. We're always racing today, but I always have to be looking at today, judging what's happened really quickly and saying, okay, where do we go from here? What do we do now? And where do we go from here and what do we do now needed to be answered also. And this is the stuff that kept me up at night a little bit. And then I get up in the morning, I did my best to put it away and go to work and watch, watch the horses race, take notes, watch my son play baseball, and it was difficult. You know, we started off this whole process with Save America getting injured. You guys know that. He's fine now. And by fine, I mean he ended up with a fracture in his P1. That's been rectified. It was a screw in it, I believe. I haven't seen the x-rays yet, but the prognosis was excellent. The prognosis was excellent for him moving forward. So just a whole bunch of stuff. My first day, you know, put yourself in my shoes. My first day in Cooperstown when I'm watching my boy play baseball. He's coming off a home run, so I'm watching him intently, hoping that he hits another one.
What was the first game?
What's that?
It was the first game on Sunday.
Yeah, but that's what I was telling you. First game. You hit it the day before. You need to listen to this.
No, you need to listen. Save America raced on Sunday, and that's the first game Ollie played.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, he raced on Sunday. Yeah, you're right. So I'm sitting in the dugout watching my son play baseball, and my phone blows up. I didn't even watch the race for Save America. I forgot I thought he was racing at night in my mind. It just didn't dawn on me. And all of a sudden, my phone blows up. Save America, okay. What happened with Save America? Any information on Save America? I even had the CBC message me. And since the CBC has never done anything nice for horse racing, I just gave them a note back and said, hey, I'll let you know when I know. When I found out what had happened, he fractured his P1. He went directly to the university. He was treated immediately. And I guess the treatment phase is the most important one. When I was speaking to Dr. Brown, he said the quicker you can get him in to get that rectified, you know, the better it is with respect to how it sets and arthritis and whatnot. And he was in immediately. He said, well, that's perfect. And I just messaged a CBC back saying, you know, it's unfortunate the horse got injured, but, you know, we look forward to the Gold Cup and Saucer 2026. And that was that. You know, they wanted to do an interview, and I declined, right? Because I know how the East Coast, how the papers in the Maritimes and the media in the Maritimes are. It's funny, they never ask for quotes when the horses are racing good. You know, I was never asked for a quote when I won the Gold Cup and Saucer with Sintra. I was never asked for an interview. I never, you know, anytime we send all these horses down, I've never asked for anything. But the one time our horse gets injured down there, all of a sudden the media wants to talk about it. So I just declined. So Save America is back on track, but this is going on. I'm watching the very first game of Ollie. I'm sitting there in the dugout, and I didn't even watch 3 or 4 innings of his game, only when he came up to bat. And you can only imagine my focus at that time was on this horse and not on my son. So that's the way I started my week. And then to have the horses race so at the very best, and that's being kind, over the last 4 or 5 days, it was a challenge, right? I'm sure I would have enjoyed myself a lot more had everything gone right, but that's the world we live in. That's life. But I did get to enjoy myself, spend some time with the parents that are pretty cool people. Spend some time with their kids. They're super kids, really, really nice kids. And again, although I didn't see Ollie's home run, there's a million pictures, videos, and I was just really, really excited for him and the team. They went 4-2. They had a good tournament. They said the final game last night. So just to put it in perspective, and I didn't realize this when I went to Cooperstown, but you have all the regional teams that kind of get chewed up a little bit. You have the representative teams, like Ollie's team represents the Guelph region, and they're a good team. They're a good team for their age bracket. And then you get this, like, almost this mercenary level where they literally just form a team of all-star players, and some of them are flown in. I know that sounds stupid to you, but they are. It's crazy to me. Flown in to play in this tournament and do well. They said the kid last night pitching at the end of the game was throwing 70 miles an hour. He's supposed to be 12 years old. I don't know if he is. But our team hit 3 home runs in the whole tournament. Ollie hit 1, Mason hit 1, and Miller hit 1. So 3 home runs the whole tournament. Kids are going crazy. They're going wild. Now, the team that put us out of the tournament, we could have beat them. I don't think we played the greatest that game. We lost 11-7, single round elimination on the second last day of Cooperstown. The team that put us out played again at 7 o'clock against one of the top seed teams, and in the first 3 innings, they gave up 11 home runs.
No, 27.
But they gave up 27 runs, but in the first 3 innings, they hit 11 home runs, the opposing team. So there's quite a discrepancy. I think, you know, if you were going to ask me my takeaway from that tournament, I would say, you know, you have a regional team that has to be made up of the same core for the most part. You have representative teams, and then you have that super elite team that, come on, man, you know, it's to decimate everybody. And I think there was probably 10 or 11 or 12 of those teams. They were all 5-0 after the first 2 days. A couple of them, the team that mauled Ollie's team got put out at 9 o'clock in the morning the next day. They were the first ones out. So there's definitely a pecking order, and it would be nice if they would address that. Not because I don't want to see my son's team get beat up, but they should be playing against their own. It'd be like asking, a young horse to race in the open pace one night. Well, say, that's just the only class we have for your 2-year-old. You can't do that. I'm going to race my open pace against the open horses. So, hold on, honey. So, but at the same time, the atmosphere was great. I will say this. If you have a son, a grandson, anybody you're affiliated with or related to that is going to Cooperstown and you have the time to take off and go. Because it's a real cool experience. It's one of those things that, and I talk about this all the time, when I went to Lexington and I won that race 2 years ago, I think, and I missed the first Grand Circuit race I won with Pickpocket. I took it for granted and I missed what it actually meant and what it should have meant to me. And then I was lucky enough 5 days later, or 7 days later, to win the next Grand Circuit race with him. And I soaked it all up. It's one of those situations. Go to Cooperstown, watch the kids play, but look around you and soak it all up, because although we didn't have a great week at the barn, that will turn around. You've been with us long enough now to know that will turn around. But weeks like this don't come very often. So I had a great time in Cooperstown. It was an exciting tournament. I get to watch the team play. Ollie played terrific. His teammates played great. And they went 4-2 in a tournament full of 104 baseball teams. So for my partners in the barn, deep breath. Things will turn around. I'm on my way back to Ohio right now. My apologies to my partners on Saturday night. Now, the good news is both horses that I signed to go are both picked to win, and Aaron Merriman's driving both of them, so you're in the right spot. I think there was some miscommunication between Jason and I told him I wouldn't be back. I think I said Saturday, so maybe I should have said until Saturday. But Aaron will do just fine. I'll be back Sunday. I'll be in the barn as soon as I can and making sure that we have everything rolling as we start the last part of July into August. So, that was going to be my opening, then it wasn't, then it was. I don't really know what it was now. An update, let's call it.
Are you ready to land your plane?
What plane? I don't get that reference.
Talking in circles. So it says land your plane.
That's actually a good analogy. I like that. I've never heard that before. I like that. Anyway, as Amy says, are you ready to land your plane? Yes. Opening is over. I will talk to you all very soon. I hope you guys have had a great week. I know it's been tough on the track, but you know what? That's racing, right? It'd be different if we just didn't have good horses. That would be depressing. But we got a barn full of them. Barn full of really, really good horses. And I think things will turn around very, very soon. Take care.